Hello, my name is Eric Follick. I'm a Platonist, contemplative ascetic, and renunciant. I would like to read for you a short little question and answer on the cause of historical decline. First, I'll read a question that I received from a friend and correspondent of mine, and then I'll read my reply. It's all pretty brief. If you would like to see this in print, you can see it at my print internet venues, platonistasceticism.blogspot.com. That's platonistasceticism.blogspot.com and independent.academia.edu/Eric Follick. That's capital small r-I-C, no space, capital Fallick. F is in Frank. So that's independent.academia.edu/Eric Follick. Okay, so here we'll go with my reading the question and answers. The question and answer. Okay. So here's the question from my correspondent. I have been wanting to ask you a question about the long history of philosophy. Mainly, my question is about the loss of the transcendental dimension in modernity, and more specifically, the loss of the transcendental in philosophy. The question is taken up by some traditionalists, but I am not satisfied with their approach. I think they ask good questions, but I don't find their responses well thought out. Heidegger is famous for his view that early philosophy was the discovery of fundamental being, and that the history of philosophy is a long, slow clouding of this discovery, culminating in nihilism of the 20th century. I am not a fan of Heidegger. I believe he is hugely overrated. I only bring up his view because it has some traction today among those who take issue with modernity. My own tendency is to view the loss of the transcendental in modernity as part of a natural process, a cyclic process. We are in the winter season of a cultural cycle where it is very difficult to do anything outside of material concerns. You have mentioned that modernity is actually the darkest period of recorded human history, and I think that's true. But I am wondering if you have any thoughts about how that has come about. Do you see it as a result of specifically human activity, or perhaps more along a natural cycle of awareness and understanding, like the seasonal nature I suggested? I tend to think that human beings like to think that they are in charge of long-term cultural trends, but I doubt that this is true. Okay, so there's the question. Here's my answer. It is often necessary to speak in historical terms and to have knowledge of history in dealing with getting along in our present sense world and relative reality in this birth until we can get free. And I certainly do think that this is the darkest time in at least the last 25 or 30 centuries, as you mentioned. But ultimately, I don't think history, like everything in becoming, has any true reality. All at this lowest level of individuated sensate existence in space-time is simply the experience of fallen souls according to their karma as mediated through the soul of the all. If you think about it, all that we call history is just inference based on sense data, written or verbal and material records, etc., that has no ultimate reality and is just sense fields manifesting according to our karma and that of others in this our present particular relative reality system. True, real, and certain knowledge is only of nous, the real beings, and the one or the good, and how to approach them ascetically and contemplatively through their relation to this world and our condition. Ultimately, the cause of the dark condition of modernity and the loss of the transcendental in culture and thought is just the heavy, deluded, poor karma of most of the souls inhabiting it. This is the real reason, however useful it may be at times to consider the, quote, historical, unquote, manner in which these times seem to have come about, such as you have researched so thoroughly and insightfully, and we have discussed. Right now, so to speak, souls with different karma may be experiencing different relative reality systems where there is a more traditional appreciation and understanding of the transcendent and renunciation. In terms of the ascesis, I think there is value in just viewing the cause in terms of individual karma this way. Confer the method of referring all causation to participation in the forms and lack thereof in the last logos in the Phaedo. I don't really find it meaningful to think either in terms of a linear or human caused historical process, or the cyclic view of the different yugas, or the like, or any other overall or overarching scheme of history. I think it is more meaningful just to think of relative circumstances and realities in terms of the individual soul's movement towards away from the good over countless births and lifetimes. This leaves us in the peculiar position of having such good karma to be wholly concerned with the transcendent and the ascesis, but with such strange karma as to be doing it in this most dark and unsupportive and deluded environment, surrounded mostly just by souls with very poor deluded karma. No doubt, though, there is a reason for it in terms of our own karma, and is presumably in the long term for the best, or at least necessary. So that's the short little question and answer. I hope that is of some help or interest to somebody out there. As I say, the real reality is the higher hypostases. This only halfway, not really real image reality of the sense world, a mixture of being and non-being, only halfway between being and non-existence, all just like a dream, and and the individuals and the real reality for us of our individual souls through many lifetimes and births, going backwards and forwards, either closer to the good or the one, or further away from it. Moving towards the good of the one and ultimately becoming it is moving towards or attaining true liberation and freedom and release from suffering. Moving the other way, deeper into this only semi-being, non-being sense world, individuated sensate existence in space-time, the realm of karma, just creating more karma and endlessly wandering in this cycle, is the most miserable and hellish suffering. So what's really important in all of this is that whatever our circumstances are, we need to turn our soul around, renounce this world completely and entirely, and in asceticism and the practice of contemplation, turn ourselves back to the good or the one through nous, through the divine mind thought, and contemplating the forms until we are out of this world and merge with the one. And then all these things will not be relevant and important. The true, complete knowing, the source of all knowing, is the good or the one itself. Just having that, everything is known, so to speak, that could be known. Knowing everything that in some sense could be partially known at the lower levels is subsumed in the good. Likewise, whatever we can know in the sense, to the extent there's any real knowledge possible in or of the sense world and at the level of discursive thought, is also subsumed in the divine mind thought, in the forms and the mind that thinks the forms that are itself. So we use our knowledge, such as we have in discursive thought here, as to whatever truth value it has, to propel us in the ascesis towards liberation. But the true knowledge is found in those higher hypostases, and we'll know it when we become them. Okay, anyway, farewell, everybody, in the more profound sense of the term, and keep to the path. Okay, thank you for watching. Bye-bye.